First, we need to, get by the minutes, is there any additions or revisions to minutes of, May 1st, May 6th, and May 12th?
I move that we accept the minutes of May 1st, 6th, and 12th as presented.
All approved?
Aye.
Liz, do you have the person on the video that's ready to go?
That's what we're trying to find out.
You said yes.
Can he hear us? Can you see us? It looks like all
Yes,
his
he's in.
cam,
He's in.
his camera and his mic's off.
Maybe he gave up on us.
She said he's in.
All right, with you.
There we go.
He should be over here if y'all see.
So are we skipping to number 8, the public hearing, so number 8 on the agenda?
Yes. Yes. This is for. This is for the public hearing? Okay.
Wanted to get everything in front of me today. All right, so what we're looking at, or what you're being presented with today as the Board of Appeals here for Mr. Wynn. And, he has submitted plans for a new restaurant to be constructed at 450 East Gibson. And, in part of his plan reviews, one of the comments that was sent back to him, his engineer, was a requirement for laboratory fixtures to be in the same room as the required water closets and urinals per 2018 building code. I'm sorry, IPC, the International Plumbing Code, section 405.3.2. So, as everyone does, he is, the appellant has the right to appeal that, and so he filled out an appeal to the location of the required laboratories. So in your packet, you have his appeal with his applicant's justification for the request, and it is in front of the city council, because by our charter, you are the Board of Appeals for any building code. So that was the opportunity to discuss, ask Mr. Wynn, listen to Mr. Wynn's justification or anything, or offer any type of alternatives. Are there any questions for me?
Yes, I do. If I understand it right, this is, instead of in the bathrooms, it'll be a communal hand wash outside the bathroom?
That is correct.
Against the wall?
That is correct. His engineers have the required facility, or the plumbing fixtures for the individual women's and men's restroom.
And this goes against our code?
Well, the code states that the required lavatories should be in the same room as the fixtures. Mr. Wynn is suggesting, based on his application for a permit, that he wants to have those right outside those restrooms in the adjoining hallway. So it's not the appeal of the laboratory, he's just appealing the location of it.
The location.
This is the new construction.
Yes, sir, this is for the new Sun Asian Bistro to be located at 450 East Gibson, right in between the existing old et cetera building and the old Pizza Hut.
So you're saying you go in the restroom, use the restroom, come out of the restroom in the hall and wash your hands?
That's correct, as designed right now.
So if you got a baby that needs a diaper change, and you go in and change the diaper, you won't be able to wash your hands till you get outside.
That would be correct in my way that the layout is, yes, sir. Not so much after COVID.
Can I ask a question? Mr. Chestnut, the code as it is now, that the sinks need to be located close to the toilets inside of the restroom, it's been that way for many years, correct?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes.
the intent of the code is for sanitation and hand washing.
Yes.
But, like I say, the code states this, my job as the building official and plans reviewer is to follow the code. It is also up to the owner or engineer, as the appellant, they can appeal that. It is up to the board to discuss that, if that is an alternative, to see if the intent of the code being met, offer an alternative design to meet the intent of the code. Ultimately, whatever you vote on today is what I will follow, just as if it were building code. We're not doing away with the building code. We're just in discussions with Mr. Nguyen, if his design is acceptable to the board. Or does the board want to make any, or has any questions for Mr. Nguyen, or if they have any alternatives to offer or to ask Mr. Nguyen, that's completely up to the board.
The only alternative I would see is to have both, have a hand washing facility inside the restrooms and the communal outside. If somebody was eating ribs, say, and ribs were messy, we don't know, they could go to the communal hand washing without having to go into the restroom.
I think the questions you're asking me, I think Mr. Nguyen needs to address those.
Oh, is that?
Because, yeah,
I didn't know.
you should be on here. I mean, I think, as an appeal, I think you should allow Mr. Nguyen to have, his vocal, voice his opinion, and then you can ask him whatever questions are offering him.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I can barely hear some of the questions, but I can answer any questions or concerns you guys might have.
Mr. Nguyen, this is Clark McLean, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I was just asking the possibility of having the lavatories inside the restrooms with a communal outside the restrooms in the hallway. My concern is just, young kids, either one of the parents that had a young child there, maybe had a diaper problem. You'd have to go in and change the diaper or whatever, and, or just a young person, not having great aim or whatever, and you come out of the restroom to wash your hands. I had much rather see a lavatory in the restroom and to get away from that problem, but the outside hand washing idea, I think is a good idea with, say, ribs or crawfish or shrimp, where you've got it all over your hands, you wouldn't have to go into the restroom. But just to not have a hand washing facility inside the restrooms, that's kind of foreign to me. Anyone else?
Sorry, if I understand what you're saying. You're concerned that if a parent is trying to change the diaper inside the restroom, how is it different than having a lavatory after a door still being open? How are they getting access to it, and how would it look? Is that the question?
I did not get all of your response. My question is, or my statement is, I had rather see the lavatories inside the restrooms. That way the parent or child or just everybody in the restroom could wash their hands inside the restrooms. The communal, if it was still optional to have the communal outside with say a messy meal like ribs or crawfish or whatever, then you could have the communal outside the restrooms and not have to go into the restroom and lavatory and wash your hands on the outside, possibly in the hallway between the restrooms.
So even if they were to change diapers, usually the diaper changing station are located inside the ADA restroom, which is like, for example, in the men's restroom, there's an ADA toilet, and inside that toilet, we can put the baby changing station there. same likewise as the woman's, we can put the ADA, inside the ADA water closet, the restroom, it's 5 feet by 10 feet, we can put the diaper station in there. So even when they are changing a baby, it's behind closed doors. It's no different than having that behind closed door, and they're already making contact with that door to get to the lavatory. These restrooms are private. However, once they open the door, they are getting access to the lavatory. So it's no difference than having another door. It's common. Does that make sense? It's just an additional door that will open. It's not like they're coming out and throwing a diaper out there. And parents, when they're changing diapers, they usually have baby wipes with them.
All right, Councilman
And-
Holmes has got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can barely hear. I think it's better if.
I wanna ask
get
you a
it typed
question.
out.
I wanna ask you simple, why do you not want the sinks inside the restroom?
One, yes, sir. What is that?
Why do you not want the sinks inside the restroom?
Why do you want to see this? Can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay, Mr. Nguyen,
Yes, sir.
okay, I'm gonna go back to the first question and lay it out to you, and then I'm going to speak to Mr. Holmes's question, if you will allow.
Okay.
Okay, the first question by the mayor was basically this: can you not have a hand washing station inside the restroom and one in the common area? So that clarifies, I think, that question. And Mr. Holmes's question was simply, why would you not want a hand washing station or basin inside the restrooms?
It's inefficient. The water closet is more important. If someone is going to the restroom, usually when they first come to the restaurant, we study the customers. When they come in, before they eat, the etiquette is to wash the hands. In Japan, they do that. In Europe, they do that. In America, we hope everybody washes their hands before they go. They don't necessarily go in, oh, I'm gonna go pee before I eat. It's usually I wash my hands before I eat. And then afterwards, after eating, if they wash their hands, great. But less than 35% of the consumers uses the toilet for the urinals. And so there's a higher traffic to use the lavatories. And so it would be more inefficient to put lavatories inside a restroom and have it all contained. But the design of this space is to have a shared community lavatory where it's not required to be private. Like when you're washing hands, someone can wash your hands. But if you're taking, taking a dump or using the urinal, then that needs to be private. And of course, it's going to be behind closed doors. And so that's the idea behind it. Now, if hygiene is a problem, and if they're changing the baby diapers in there, what they made after COVID was these door kicks that you can pull the door with your feet. And so that's a complementary tool accessories that we can add onto the door, so that we can preserve what the architect designed with this whole entire space, but also meanwhile giving that whole entire look that we want to achieve instead of closing it off. I think it would really be very detrimental to the overall aesthetic, to what we want to achieve in this building.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
But we're not the only one. There's a few restaurants, I've given examples to Mr. Jeremy, Mr. Chestnut, that restaurants like, for example, Rudy's, they have that. For the provisions in Houston, they have that. And quite a few restaurants here in Austin do have shared community pool. But when they're using something for more private matters, it's behind closed doors. Now, it's no different than if they go in there and, they defecate and, they get some germs on them and they open the door handle. It's the same concept as us having the restroom private behind closed bathroom privacy doors. And so, but when you raise the question about changing a diaper, I don't think any person in mind would want to change a baby's diaper without bringing their own sanitary product. I mean, we do have like paper towels in the restroom, but it's not like we have baby wipes, or Clorox wipes for them to change the diaper. They should know better than not. I mean, some don't, But that's the idea behind it. And we also want to discourage, if I put a laboratory, there are going to be just a consumer that's going to take advantage. Oh, let's go ahead and watch the baby, the baby's butt in the laboratory. That's not etiquette. That's not okay. But there will be people doing that. So by having this out in the community, I'm going to be preventing people from doing that.
This, to Mr. Chestnut. Our current code says they need to be sinks in the restaurants, correct?
The code says that the required laboratory should be in the same room as the required water closet.
So we're asking to do a modification of our current codes that might set a precedent that might bite us in the future.
No, it's not quite like that. Well, Billy, do you want to speak on that as far as the legalities of it?
So as the city council being the Board of Appeals in this case, whenever y'all consider this appeal, whatever decision that y'all make will set, so if y'all, hypothetically, if y'all choose to approve this appeal, okay, y'all will set a precedent moving forward for future appeals to be heard on the same issue, and it will basically become binding law, and y'all will have to approve every appeal on the same issue, and would open the door to more appeals coming in potentially.
We gotta do it for all.
That's
Right, and it's the right of every contractor, every engineer, every plant, every owner, they have the right to appeal just about every decision. There's a process to it. Like I said, similar to a variance request, the variance request is a modification of the code. You can meet some of the setback requirement, but you can't quite get to 10 foot, but you can get 7. That's a modification. What he's asking here in this instance is an appeal not to do away with the code. The code still will stand. The code will still be the same way that it's been since it was adopted. It's only if someone else decides to build another restaurant who wants to set it up similar to Mr. Wynn's, but I'm still gonna go by what the code says, right? I'm still gonna go by what section 405.3.2 says. Now, if he wants to appeal that, he can come and we'll be right back here on that matter with the justification. But in that case, since you've approved it one way with an alternative design, you're pretty much bound to that. But it doesn't set the code, or does not delete the code itself. You can modify the code, you can offer an alternative design, and I feel like if that is acceptable toward the intent of that code is met, which is the purpose of this appeal, then I think it's up to that board to decide that.
I have a question. The reason that Mr. Wynn gives, is this public? I mean, can we say what the reason is? Because I feel like some of the council members don't know the reason that Mr. Wynn is given to want to change this. Is that public, what is on this form?
Are you talking about as far as?
If he's not gonna follow the code, is it public the reason that he's given why he doesn't wanna follow the code and put the sink in the restroom? What is right here under application?
Right, I'm gonna defer that to the attorney.
I mean, I think that this was spoke to earlier in that these packets are subject to an open records request, so, yeah, I mean, the public can.
Well, I was just making sure that all the council members, I don't feel like all the council members knew the reason that he was given. Mr. Wynn, did you want to explain to us why you want to not follow the code and have it's strictly for the design?
Why we don't need why should be the exception to the code?
Yes.
Well, codes are just, the code are general codes that applies to everything in the United States. But you also have to understand, the United States is only 4.5% of the world's population. In Europe, the water closet is required to be behind closed doors, meaning you have faculty partitions, but the water closet over there, the lavatory and the water closet is not in the same room. So if someone's going into the restroom, the lavatory should be in the same room as the shower. But no one wants to be brushing their teeth while someone's, defecating. So therefore, it is behind closed doors. So those codes, and you also have to see in there. Same as Turkey, it's different. So it's on the other side of the room. But then I don't know how Asia, it's totally a different rules. And so I understand that we have the US code, we have the US code in the US, but we also have international guided laws too as well. So some of those international plumbing codes does apply in Europe. And so it's different, subject to different interpretation of how we want to interpret that. I personally think it's better if I am going to the restroom and if I'm using, like, so for example, if I have a high capacity, it would be more efficient to design 3 toilets that can be co-shared by, one, right? As long as it's clean afterwards. But then if I can cut that down to 2 lavatories and conserve water or conserve consumption or conserve the use of the space, then I have a better efficient design. So what's the point of having, 8 toilets but only having, 16 customers when I can have 4 toilets but I can have 32 customers? It's more efficiently designed and used. So it can have a higher use rate. We've also said not every customer that goes to the restroom uses the toilet or the urinal, right? But every customer that goes to the restroom uses the lavatory. Do we agree?
You ever been to Jasper, Texas?
But what we have to think outside the box too. What is efficient? But if you also look at the design, and I don't know if Mrs. Jeremy has presented you the design, it is a very efficient design in terms of when you go in the restroom, you're in the restroom. If you're in the women's restroom, you're using a purpose for that restroom. You're not in there putting your makeup. That's not what's happening. That's what the community lavatory is. There are individual mirrors for that. It doesn't have to be private. And also it helps with it that there is natural sunlight coming to help the lavatory so you can see through it. Most of these restrooms everywhere inside any commercial space does not have sunlight through it. So that takes away from the effect. So you have to think about that. And it harbors bacteria by not having sunlight in there. So now that I have a laboratory design outside and a space used and it's open to the garden, it has many other purposes. So looking at the code, I understand what it is, but from what I've interpreted from the design, the architect, hey man, let's go ahead and do this because this is a very cool modern design. Maybe in about 3-4 years, the IPC code says, hey, you know what, you can have laboratories in the restroom as long as it's joint and shared. And if you interpret the code as, is it inside the same room? It is inside the same room. It is the restroom. It's just not inside the women's restroom or the men's restroom. But it's definitely not inside the bar. It's not inside the dining room, or nor is it inside the kitchen, No, I'm not asking the customer to wash their hands inside the kitchen and go to use the restroom over here. It is within the same vicinity. On the other hand, I can also put a door that closes off the lavatory to the dining area. And so you can interpret that it's the same room. Does that make sense? So like I'm looking at it, I say, what if I put a closed door between the what do you call it? Between the bar and the lavatory? That's considered a closed room. It's in the same room.
It has to be the same. Second.
We've got a motion for the facility space. Same.
Follow the code.
Follow the code. You got a second? Mr. Crosby, second. All in favor?
Did Mr. Mayhew vote?
Yes. Unanimous vote.
To be clear, I'm not sure I know how to proceed. Did we approve this appeal or deny this appeal?
Denied.
Okay. Okay, item number 2 on the agenda is the approval of the SRMTA board members. Like I said earlier, Mayor and Council, I talked to Bruce Mills, he said Anderson's terms up to fill his position.
I move we approve the current mayor with the outgoing mayor.
I'll second.
You got it.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the mayor as the new board member on the SLRPA. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All
No.
opposed?
No. No.
Motion passes. Item number 3. Council approval to appoint ETRPC board members, including the mayor and one member.
The mayor's automatically on the board. Just Ms. Burke just said, planning commission, and just go ahead and vote. Put the mayor on that, because Mr. Cross is the other member on that.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second. Approved, second. Any discussion? All approved?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 4. Sales for approval and removal of Jasper board member to Eastern Office Development Corporation.
You want a motion? Sure.
Are we doing this by name?
Well, wait a minute. We're gonna approve it for the removal, but how are we gonna get down to the board members themselves?
You need somebody to make a motion.
I'll make a motion. This is my motion. I make a motion that we leave the 3, one that we appointed correctly, which is McQueen, what's her name?
Prosecutor.
Miranda.
Oh, no, right, I'm sorry.
Ryan Sample. And then we take and we leave 4 of the, I know they've been there 20,000 years, I understand that. But we leave 4 of we leave 4 spaces for 4 active of the old members. We choose the 4 that's gonna be there, right? So then that leaves us 10 spaces. That means each council member gets to choose 2 people, so that'll make it 17. That's my motion.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Good choice.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
No, I'm not for this.
Okay.
Ms. Horner.
All right, all opposed?
No.
So we got 3 approved.
I don't, how did Ms. Horn vote?
You abstaining, or you want?
Yeah. So how are we gonna do it, like, I thought we were gonna
we
continue,
just discussed it. Discussion.
or we just discussed it?
Now we can follow up with appointing.
Okay,
So we got 1 abstaining?
yeah.
Okay. 3 for and 1 against.
I don't understand. In the past, you just make a motion to appoint and remove. And so I'm confused. So you said that what we just now voted on is that you want, your motion is to leave 4 members on the JEDCO board, that the city council chooses which those 4 are. And that leaves 10 for the city council to choose 2 members each to place on that board. And you have 4,
We got 5 city council, we give each one of us 2.
You said to leave 3 on, which was,
I think we have to give names of the people. You have to appoint and remove. I think you have to make a motion.
We can't do that tonight, that ain't gonna work.
Well, then I would recommend you postpone this or something, because you can't do that without names. I believe we have to have names to appoint and remove. You have to have names.
Yes, we're gonna have to
Correct,
call
Mr.
names.
Moran? Well, we don't have names to appoint if we haven't decided the four that you guys are wanting to keep on there. So sorry, we don't have those names.
Don't lump me in with anybody.
Well, you said yes, we have to have names. I'm not lumping you in with anybody but Mr. Hildebrand.
No, you just lumped me in, you said you guys.
Well, I'm sorry, did you
I have-
vote for
I've
four
not-
to remain on there?
But I don't have a list of four.
I didn't say you did,
It was my
but you
motion.
voted in favor of four to remain
I
on
do,
there.
yeah.
I'm so sorry that you take offense to being lumped into the four, but you did vote in affirmative.
I got a
Mr. Moran?
question. I got a question for the attorney.
That's enough.
I got a question. If we leave four, okay, we leave the three that were voted incorrectly the past few years, right? Their term isn't up. But if we leave four spaces, we have to put the names in tonight?
So, to answer this question, I think this is something that should be addressed in the workshop. Like what we're doing right now is something y'all should come to terms on in the workshop.
And you just make a motion right now, correct?
Ma'am?
That we're making a motion on this item,
Mr.
right?
Mayor, can I change my motion?
I can ask for like a second.
Can I change my motion? It already been said.
It was said.
It was seconded and it was voted on, so it already passed, his motion already passed, so he can change that if
He
he
can
wanted to.
amend his
He
motion,
can.
correct?
No, you've already voted on it.
Amend your motion.
Okay, so I'm gonna amend my motion,
They've
that we
already
find
voted.
out the names of the people that we're gonna keep. Until then, we take.
You need a second? I'll second.
All in favor? Vote
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Name. Name? Okay. All right, motion passes. All opposed? We got
Happy many.
one.
Who seconded, I'm sorry.
They already voted.
What's that?
They can't do that. They already voted. It's crazy.
Maureen, I have a question for you. We have basically just tabled that, so to speak. Do we go back to a workshop next session? And get names?
Unfortunately, yes, I believe that's what we're gonna have to do. I don't think we got anything accomplished this workshop. I think that the idea that was presented is something that could work. Not saying it's a good or a bad idea, but I'm just saying I think that coming up with that number is something that we need to do in a workshop. And then in that workshop, we can also, kind of have an idea of who we want to appoint or not appoint to those positions. And then whenever we go into our, open session, we have an idea of what direction we're going in.
Well, that's what I was asking in the workshop earlier. We have got to come up with names that we want for each seat. And a process of how we agree on those names in that workshop. Do we vote on that in the workshop? I know we can't do anything pending, but we can we
Vote on the workshop, agree on it.
Y'all would
agree
come,
on it in the workshop?
Come out here and do it.
And you have a name for each seat. And then we come out here to vote on up or down on every person on that seat? Or the group?
I think that you could do either way. However y'all decided y'all wanted to do it. Y'all could have a motion for, here's the people that we're gonna put on there, y'all can all approve that motion. Or y'all can go down one by one. There's a few different ways to skin that cat.
Well, do we discuss that now or in a workshop? We've got to go back to a workshop, correct?
I believe so, yes. On the same token, I don't have my computer pulled up in front of me, so bear with me for not being the foremost expert on regurgitating municipal law and economic development board law. At any point in any time, the city council can appoint or remove the EDC members. So with that being said, I mean, if y'all can come to an agreement right now on what y'all want to do, that's something that y'all are voting on right now. But I guess the vote's already been passed. So I would come back and do a workshop, unfortunately. I think we need to just do that to be safe.
Okay, let's move to the next item. All right, we are, under consideration to donate how many? How many? Yes, okay.
What this is, you know, the school ISD is gonna start their own police department. It's the current vehicle that they're currently using right now. That's already dedicated to the SRO program. They're not worthy for any kind of patrol use, so I'm willing to donate those vehicles, minus our radios that are inside the school district, so they can continue using them like they already are.
I make a motion with approve.
Second.
Discussion. Discussion.
Discussion.
We have a revenue shortfall in the city, and we have a budget coming up that we're gonna have to figure out how to pay our bills without using a credit card, and have a real issue of giving away assets that has monetary value just because we want to. I think they should be either sold to the school at fair market value or put up for auction and sold as an asset to the city and not a gift to somebody.
I would like to add.
You're recommending give it to the school, correct? The chief of police is recommending to give it to them, okay, you go ahead.
We are gifting it, you know, but we're gifting it to our neighbors, to our children, to our
It's
teachers,
additional.
to the safety and security of every campus in the school district.
And it's gonna be a additional law enforcement agency.
Yeah.
So-
Yes.
Are the units in good shape, usable?
They're, for them, their purposes of going back and forth to school and the games, yes, but like for our purposes of running calls, no, that's why they're 2013 models.
Yeah.
That's why that's why they're currently in the position they are now, they're giving us in. They're older units that we've scheduled out of the fleet, long time ago. They don't have to worry about transporting the prisoners or anything else like that, they take them to the games, block traffic and do that kind of stuff that they need to do for games and for school purposes.
They follow the buses?
Yeah.
If I could
Any more discussion?
I just wanna ask, but we're voting to authorize you to donate
These belong to
this.
the city.
So put it up for sale and all these other things, that's not what we're voting on right now. We're
No.
voting on authorizing you as the chief of police to donate these units to our school for
Or the
our
city, yes,
children.
the actually belong to the city themselves, and so it'd be up to y'all if y'all would like to.
And we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Well, one little discussion, is that correct, does that involve y'all?
Yeah, we can take care of the paperwork, get it out over to the city, to the school district.
Y'all have any problem with it? Any more discussion? All approved, all in favor,
Ah.
all opposed?
Opposed?
One opposed, four, motion passes.
Good job.
Number 6, is that the same? Oh, that's 903. Jerry?
Did you go with the fire?
Greg, can you speak to that?
This is at 903, going 3 foot into the encroachment. We've done several of these over the past few months. Just doing that going for fire.
Just a 3-foot variance is all.
3-foot variance into a 10-foot required on one side of the yard.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, consider approval of one person from the governing body of the local board of Jasper volunteer fire department to the department's pension fund.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Council.
Yes.
The terms that the TSRS, Texas Emergency Services Retirement System, states that we have to appoint one person from the governing body to this pension board. We meet twice a year, once in February, once in August. And they have changed the rules back in 2023 that states that the chief financial officer for the city can be on this board if she chooses to. Other than that, it has to be a council member or mayor.
What is this body? I'm not aware of this body.
Okay, the pension board consists of 6 members. One's financial, or chief financial officer, or someone from the government entity. And then one is from the member of the citizens, the community, and the registered firefighters, existing firefighters. We have a pension fund that's set up that we pay, the city pays the firefighters $150 per man per month. And so we have some policies that we have to go by in our department, that we have to meet certain criteria per month or per quarter, so we can make these statuses and get paid. And so we go over these twice a year to approve payment or not payment.
Okay, we have,
If I may,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Robbie, would you be willing to take that position?
I'd be willing if one of you all would want to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to go on that.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Ms. Robin, you do it, so, all in favor?
Aye. That's called railroading.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Robin.
Okay, we have another appeal, 450 East Gibson.
Now you got a
No,
second
we
part to
haven't
this.
done that.
Part two.
That was way down.
Oh, okay, that was one, okay, got you. All right, now we're going into closed session. You got one more. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh my God.
So also, I wanted to present to y'all, get your blessing, put some information in this packet for the fire department to enter into contract with Beyond B. This is a company that would be going back and forth with insurance companies to help us recoup some funds that we use when we go on these calls, man hours, equipment hours, anything that we use, chainsaws, our SCBA's. There's all kinds of stuff out there that we can get from these insurance companies. And this Beyond B would be arbitrating back and forth, arguing with them, and trying to come up with a settlement. Not all cases are able to be able to get their funds back, but most of them are, especially the ones that have insurance. This wouldn't cost the homeowners or vehicle drivers anymore on their insurance or nothing. And it also would help us supplement our city budget to help do training and buy equipment and so forth.
What, is Beyond B a group or company?
It's a company, yes, sir.
They do this in service, but they get paid.
They do this as a service and only get paid if they collect money. And they only ask for 10% per call.
Is that on every call?
Not every call you can, send out for adjustment, but every call that is justified for adjustment, if they collect, they'll give you 10%.
10% from us or 10% from work?
10% from the fire department, not city budget, fire department funds.
What if, do you get all, beyond me, is that in the fire department? That's what I'm asking. If they get 10% of everything,
Yes, and the fire department would be, responsible for paying her.
okay. Motion.
So moved.
Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous pass. Consider approving the bill of 450 Gibson. They did that when they did that. Now we'll go straight into closed session.